For various reasons, many masters of martial arts were undeservedly forgotten. This fact had a destructive effect on the destinies of the martial branches themselves, which disappeared without a trace in their original purity. To understand the culture and customs of the nation, one must know its history. Martial arts are no exception. Their centuries-old traditions are heavy with parables and legends. Also over the centuries, many masters of martial branches. The new conditions were fed by the influence of local traditions and contributed to development. The diverse family of martial art of Wing Chun is no exception. The history of Wing Chun Kuen never ceases to impress with the amazing facts of the masters' lives, thanks to which the life of this unique type of martial art continues. Last century, in 1936, the great master of martial arts Wing Chun Kuen, Nguyen T. Kong emigrated from China to Vietnam. It all began with the fact that he was summoned to fight the Japanese general, a skilled and experienced fighter. Realizing that the battle will be the last for any of them, T. Kong asked close friends to get his family out of the city so as not to worry about their lives and calmly prepare for a fight. The duel was organized in one of the city squares. A lot of people gathered. At the appointed time on the platform came out aged T. Kong. He was 63 years old. Surprisingly, the battle was brief. T. Kong in a fair fight killed his opponent. That shocked everyone, both the Japanese and the Chinese. As a trophy, T. Kong demonstratively took the general's sword. Since the duel was official, there were no complaints made against T. Kong. But he understood perfectly well that there would be no rest. He and his family were in grave danger. T. Kong decides to secretly leave his homeland and emigrate to Vietnam. Here begins his new life. He becomes the ancestor of Wing Chun in Vietnam and teaches a whole cohort of Vietnamese masters, including Nguyen Dui Hai, Nguyen Dui Hai, Ho Hai Long. The life story of the great master of Wing Chun Kuen Phai. In the center of the mountains, kingdom of the relic jungles, in the town of Vinh Yen of Ninh Binh province in 1917, a boy was born in the family of Mr. Nguyen Van Phung and Mrs. Nguyen T. Doan. Parents gave him the name of Nguyen Dui Hai. His father was a teacher of general education subject. After the birth of his son, Mr. Nguyen Wang Phung and his family moved to Hanoi and began teaching at a high school for senior classes near the Central Park. Mrs. Nguyen T. Doan was completely lost in caring for the child and maintaining family comfort in the house. 5 years later, another desirable son was born to their family, who was given the name of Nguyen Dui Heng. The life of the boys was surrounded by the love and attention of the parents. From early childhood, Dui Hai was very curious and sought to know the world that surrounded him. The first in the genealogical tree of the family of the master Nguyen Dui Hai is mentioned in written form. The left flank commander Nguyen Bac during the Dinh dynasty, 9 to 10 centuries. The descendant of this commander was General Nguyen Hu Hoi, later known as Le Van Hoi. The general was famous for hunting. Organized for the ambassador of the Kingdom of Siam, a tiger attacked a high-ranking guest and the general who was near him selflessly rushed to the defense, killing a ferocious predator with his bare hands. By his act, he caused great respect of the imperial court and boundless gratitude for saving life from the ambassador himself. In Dui Hai's family, there were many talented and famous people. So, his ancestor in the 4th generation, Nguyen Van Tien, served as a government official and took an active part in the reform of land development for the agricultural property. The child's great activity prompted that at an early age he was given to study martial arts to his uncles, where the boy could quench his thirst for knowledge, and also cultivate self-restraint and responsibility for his actions. Senior uncle, Mr. Nguyen Duc, nicknamed Stone Fog, was the head of the school, White Tiger. Another uncle, Mr. Nguyen Tho, had the nickname Strong Tiger during their lifetime. They were very respected people of North Vietnam. Restraint, discipline, hard work. These qualities, which have often helped in difficult times, Zhu Hai will carry through all life. In 1938, at the beauty contest Miss Buk Sang Province, Zhu Hai met a young participant Nguyen T. Bac. The girl won the competition. Because of her unusual beauty she was respectfully called Pink Apple. Zhu Hai did not resist her charm and the girl reciprocated his feelings. T. Bac had not only external beauty. She was a very educated girl, she wrote poetry, played musical instruments, she was engaged in painting. There always were been many fans around who wanted to win her heart. The novice writer Hoang Cam, subsequently the famous Vietnamese poet, playwright and prose writer, was also struck by the beauty of T. Bac. In his poems he sang the beauty of a girl, revealed his feelings for her, she was his muse and heroine. In 1939, Zhu Hai met his future Shifu Nguyen T. Kong, who will teach him Wing Chun, will dedicate it to his whole life and will support his teacher throughout his life. In one quiet morning, Zhu Hai went on a date and hooligans clinged to him, which one of the rejected admirers Nguyen T. Bac persuaded to discourage the desire to take care of her. Purposely hitting Zhu Hai, they began to provoke a conflict. When one of the guys tried to hit him, he received such a counter blow that fell to the ground and he stayed there lying. Without waiting for the actions of the others, Zhu Hai was just as lightning as he attacked and pushed two more to the ground. The last of the attackers jumped aside and began to shout loudly for the help of the guys sitting nearby. They jumped up and tried to attack Zhu Hai with the whole crowd. But they were stopped by someone's quiet hail. When an old man approached him, they all stumbled uncertainly and bowed to him. "Today is such a nice, quiet morning and shudder the air with cries it just a disrespect to those who enjoy peace of mind," said the approaching gentleman. One of the young people tried to say that this stranger attacked their friends, and they want to teach him a lesson for his insolence. An elderly man said, "I live here, you all know me." The guys nodded back. "Do you think that my eyes are blind, and I'm an old crazy man?" Everyone began to object. "Then why did you cheat me and try to make me fool?" Thus giving to understand that he could see everything that was going on here. "I hope that in future you will not be such fool. Throwing the crowd for one person, and your actions will be more noble," calmly finished elderly man. Calling for Zhu Hai, they approached a small table on the sidewalk. Suggesting him to sit next to him, the gentleman asked the young man what his name was, and presented name himself. This was the acquaintance of Zhu Hai with his future Shifu Nguyen T. Kong. In the conversation, T. Kong asked what Zhu Hai is practicing. The young man told about his training with his uncles. To which T. Kong with a smile replied, "My eye is swept, I can distinguish a specialist from an amateur. I noticed that your movements are well honed and there is strength in them." It turned out that T. Kong knew the senior uncle of Zhu Hai and spoke highly of his skill. This fact played a significant role in that Zhu Hai began to learn from T. Kong. The Shifu loved his disciple for his perseverance, straightforwardness and with joy taught every new step on the way to mastering the martial art of Wing Chun. Meditation includes three aspects. The first aspect, regulating the body, getting rid of clamping and overstrain, so that necessary processes in the body during the meditation run comfortable, and the meditation itself was productive. The body should be prepared. On body regulation stage, a person perceives a very important mechanism of concentration. Through it, runs a more effective advancing. Remove barriers that hinder progress. By regulating his body in meditative practice, a person gradually understands it, gets rid of squeezing, overstrain, and can control it. The second aspect in meditation is the regulation of breathing. This means breathing deep, calm, free. To achieve a lasting result, naturally, it is necessary to remove the tension in the body and to ensure the normal work of the diaphragm. If in the meditative practice the diaphragm will prop up the lungs, it will not allow breathing freely and deeply. But deep and calm breathing promotes the normal process of metabolism in the body and maintaining the constancy of the internal environment. Practicing the regulation of breathing in meditation. Control over the uniformity, comfort and depth of inspiration and exhalation, the internal processes in the body stabilize. The third aspect of meditation, it is calming the mind. Control of the whole things included in the concept of psyche. Sensations, perceptions, emotions, thoughts, dreams, behavior, motivation, all that defines the identity of the person. Through the practice of meditation, body and breathing regulation, which are closely connected with the practice of mental control, appears the realization your mental condition. Meditative practice helps in developing and strengthening such qualities as integrity, concentration, activity, communication skills, adaptation and control. These the actions which make it possible to understand the sense of the correctness of actions depending on the situation. Psychic is the inner world of a person who interacts with the outside world through our emotional states. And depending on how much the psychic is controlled, will the desired results of relationship with the outside world and society depended. Qi Gong, breath of energy, to use Wing Chun's technique effectively, strength and endurance are needed. Qi Gong strengthens muscles and tendons, allows you to create a solid foundation in the practice of Wing Chun. Qi Gong plays an important role in maintaining health, strengthening the body as a whole, and revelation in the psychophysical potential. The sections, sticky hands, and combat hands, include a technical arsenal for working with one or several partners. Blows, shocks, drifts, lining, unbalancing, hooks, carving, throws, kinks. Narrowness of hands, avoiding wide movements. A short step or a step, combinations. Control of the partner and timely response to his actions. Forms. A set of exercises that laid the technical arsenal of Wing Chun. Another importance of forms lies in the fact that through their implementation and elaboration it is possible to understand the sense and meaning of the roots, from which all actions begin. The root of the hands is the shoulders, the root of the body is the stomach and waist, the root of the whole body is the feet. If the shoulders are enslaved, then with the actions of the hands, speed and strength are lost, hands quickly become tired, and after them the body becomes weaker. If the root of the body is enslaved, the body will soon become tired, become vulnerable to a blow. Balance and control of concentration will be lost. If the feet are loosened, the weight will not be distributed evenly, there will be instability. Then the body will lose control. Assembly and coordination of actions will disappear, will become vulnerable to attacks. Therefore, all three roots should act as a single whole, so that the combat techniques can be used efficiently. Work on the training apparatus, wooden man. Work with weapons. Paired, butterfly swords. Work with the middle pole persistently training. Nguyen Zui Hai earned the title of Outstanding Fighter of the Wing Chun School, and in the martial arts circles was honored the name of Ho Hai Long, Sea Dragon. Nature is so beautiful, unusual and bizarre, and should inspire a person to creativity and spiritual growth. In the bosom of this nature many sages and philosophers were born who revealed the important principles of prosperity in human life. But here's the paradox. Why is there so much grief among this beauty and wisdom? It's beyond reason and the common sense. Beauty pleases people for thousands of years, inspires them for love, creativity. And why did someone need to interfere and destroy the millennial harmony between man and nature? Zhuge Hai participated in the resistance movement to French domination, which resulted in his arrest and imprisonment for 5 years in the province of Dushan, near the city of Haiphong. But the prison walls could not stop Ho Hai Long from improving his body and spirit. During his imprisonment, he did not stop meditating, breathing exercises and martial arts. By the time he left prison, Zhuge Hai's skill had risen to an incredible level. His movements were lightning fast, his muscles were made of stone. And he could withstand for hundreds of strokes breath holding. Since the first days of courting Zhuge Hai for the beauty Nguyen T-back parents were against their meetings. But, despite all the obstacles, in 1945 young people secretly married. From a young age, Zhuge Hai was considered a specialist in the use of melee weapons. During the Resistance War, in February 1947, he won a victory among the 10 northern provinces in the fencing competitions that took place in the Chomi area before the battle with the French on the Low River. After that, Zhuge Hai began to teach policemen his art, and also found many disciples in the youth organization of the resistance in the United Zone Viet Bac. Ho Hai Long was a close friend of the teacher Nguyen Loc, the creator of the school, Vo Việt and boxer, champion of Vietnam Nguyen Dinh Thuân. Founder of the school, Quintessence of Martial Techniques. He also maintained a good relationship with the master Wu Bai Oai, and thanks to Zhuge Hai his school, Han Bai gained fame in southern Vietnam. In 1950, the desired child was born in the family of Zhuge Hai. His parents gave him the name of Hung Wu. From 1951 to 1954, Nguyen Zhuge Hai worked in the Hanoi Pedagogical Institution. Despite the busyness and daily worries, Zhuge Hai continued to practice Wing Chun from his teacher Nguyen T Kong. At the same time, Zhuge Hai becomes a senior disciple and helps his teacher in teaching Wing Chun. As a recognition of Zhuge Hai's merits and confirmation of his right to be a senior disciple, Nguyen T Kong, in the presence of all the other disciples, gives him the Japanese katana he brought from China after a memorable duel with the Japanese general. This honorary fighting trophy always lay on the altar in the house of Zhuge Hai until 1968. Then the city was bombed. Together with other buildings, the house of Zhuge Hai was also destroyed. Worrying about the children's lives and trying to hide them from the fire, he did not have time to keep track of things. A lot of them burned or were stolen by marauders. But the famous sword remains in memory not of Zhuge Hai, and in memory of the son of T Kong, Mr. Nguyen Chi Tan also, who told this story as a living witness to its ceremonial presentation. According to the instruction of Nguyen Tay Kong, in 1954, Zhuge Hai and his family left for the south of Vietnam to the city of Saigon to establish the Wing Chun school and continue the work of his teacher. From 1954 to 1958 he worked in the Ministry of Education, in the Department of Accounting. Being in the south of Vietnam and being away from the teacher, Zhuge Hai maintains a close relationship with him. A year later, leaving several trained disciples in Hanoi. Nguyen Tay Kong with a calm heart leaves for his beloved disciple in Saigon. Zui Hai and his brothers by school help teacher to settle down and continue life in a new place. Disciples, who helped Nguyen T. Kong in the south, Nguyen Zui Hai, Du Ba Vin, Nguyen Ba Ka. Chan Van Ti, T. Dat Chi, Lucan Ween Kai. Being a senior disciple, besides he was assisting his teacher in teaching, Zui Hai was still entrusted with the care of teacher himself, in his person from all and for all disciples. What is meant by the word caring is a constant help in all life matters of the teacher, regardless of their employment or fatigue. Respond to any request of the teacher at any time of the day and allow other disciples to be freer. Somehow, back in Hanoi, the disciples asked Nguyen T. Kong, why was Zui Hai chosen as the senior disciple? To which Tay Kong replied, from the old days, when the warriors in long campaigns stopped for the night, they put on duty the warriors with a great endurance, so that all the rest could calmly sleep and regain their strength. When the enemy tries to suddenly attack the sleeping army under the cover of night, one who can resist this onslaught must stand in their way, even at the cost of one's own life, to destroy the enemy's plans and allow all the rest to gather with the spirit and take the fight. This does not diminish your dignity, but not every one of you can bear that hard burden that is assigned to your brother by school. This, on the contrary, gives you the opportunity, without much effort, to help him in his duties as a senior disciple. Honorary and very difficult duty of the senior disciple, Zui Hai, carried on his shoulders until the day of the death of his teacher on May 18, 1959. A year before Nguyen T. Kong death, Master Ho Hai Long received the title of Patriarch of the second generation Wing Chun school in Vietnam along by the line of his teacher. 1957 was for Zui Hai the most difficult in his life. This year, his beloved wife dies, his pink apple. Until the end of his life, he carried in his heart a love for her. But it cannot be considered that Zui Hai was doomed to loneliness. He gave his heart, his strength and his whole life to the children, the teacher and his disciples. From 1958 to 1975, Zui Hai worked at the Hung Viong School in public disciplines. In 1968, the leadership of the Martial Arts Association of South Vietnam offered Zui Hai the post of martial arts consultant. Thus, Zui Hai began to combine teaching at school with work in the association 1968 to 1975, and in the early morning, at 4 in the morning, taught his disciples Wing Chun. Since Grandmaster Nguyen T. Kong until the end of his days did not know Vietnamese, the training took place in Chinese. All the terminology, explanations of the principles of Wing Chun, treatises, fighting verses and comments of this direction could be understood only by those who knew the Chinese language well. Zui Hai knew 5 languages, including Chinese language. At the request of his teacher, Nguyen T. Kong, while still in Hanoi, he began to translate all treatises, explanations and sayings into Vietnamese for Vietnamese disciples. According to the son of T. Kong, Nguyen Chi Tan, Zui Hai spent a lot of time with his father at their home in Hanoi, and later in Saigon. The disciple listened and wrote down for the teacher the nuances of various utterances of battle treatises and their hidden meaning. After the bombardment, fire and destruction of the house in 1968, Zui Hai had to reinstate all records. In this deal he was helped by the son of T. Kong, Nguyen Chi Tan and the brothers by school. In 1973, the texts were restored and retranslated into Vietnamese. Throughout his life, Zui Hai continued the work of his master and sought to transfer knowledge of the martial art of Wing Chun to his disciples. In his spare time from work, cares for children and the training of disciples, Zui Hai did not stop practicing. In the evenings, Zui Hai liked to read and, when he was inspired, wrote poetry, painted. Martial art should develop a person, but should not turn it into a gross unconscious creature, trying to behave like a dominant male, who has only an instinct, but no consciousness, which can only wag his arms and legs. After all, for each male there is another, stronger male, who also, without developing his mind, will strive for stupid domination with the help of physical strength. But martial art is not meant for animal fun. Martial art should reveal to man its true purpose, serve self-improvement. The master of martial art should not only skillfully own a combat technique. He must develop himself as a creative person. Learn the essence of martial art, helping others. Since 1954, through the hands of Zui Hai, many people have passed who wanted to study Wing Chun, but only a few through the thorny path of discipleship, through hard work and endurance, were able to achieve mastery and continue the work of their teacher. They began to develop and distribute Wing Chun in their homeland and abroad, carrying in their hearts the proud names of the previous teachers of the school and their teacher, the Sea Dragon, which left an indelible mark on the martial arts world. Grandmaster Nguyen Zui Hai. Sea Dragon died at 5 a.m. on Friday, December 27, 1988, or August 27, the year of the Golden Dragon on the lunar calendar, at the age of 72 years. The film is based on the memories of the son of Grandmaster Nguyen T. Kong, Mr. Nguyen Chi Tang, the son of Grandmaster Nguyen Zui Hai, Mr. Nguyen Hung Wu, the sister of Nguyen Zui Hai's wife, Mrs. Nguyen T. Ming Tu, a disciple of Nguyen Zui Hai, Mr. Huan Nokin. The film was created by Mr. Igor Astashev, a disciple of the Grandmaster Haiyan Nokin. We express great gratitude for the help in creating the film to Mr. Nguyen Ha Vin, and to all disciples of Grandmaster Nguyen Zui Hai.